Hi, Diane. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well, Gail. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. Could you take some time and introduce everybody to yourself and let them know, who you are, a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So my name is Diane Santos. I am the mother of two sons, grandmother of three, and born and raised in New England, Connecticut, to be more specific, and lived here just about my whole life. I moved away for 3 years and just recently moved back. So anyway, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But I worked for 20 years of my life at a casino, Foxwoods Resort Casino, which some of you may have heard of, others may have not, Mashantucket, Connecticut.
Now, what did
And
you do at the casino?
I started there back in, oh boy, 1994, and I was a cafeteria attendant. So I went in super entry level, just needed a job, and got promoted several times over the years. And then my last title was assistant man. Actually, it was assistant manager slash sous chef. That's a mouthful.
Okay. Okay.
And it's because I was in the food service part of the casino, and they made the decision to change our title from assistant manager, which was front of the house, to sous chef, which was back of the house. So automatically, poof, I was in a chef's uniform and looked like a chef, although I hadn't gone to school for that. But it was a management position, in other
Okay.
words.
So tell
And
us what you're doing now.
so now I actually work in a doctor's office. That's my 9 to 5 job. And
Hmm.
I've been doing this line of work ever since I left the casino about almost 7 years ago.
Okay.
7 years ago, I left there, and then I started in the medical field at the front desk, checking patients in and out, scheduling, basically providing support to the providers in the office. And I enjoy that because I enjoy interacting with people. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
So people listening in, they know this podcast is for new entrepreneurs or baby entrepreneurs, people just starting out. So you have a business on the side. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so being in the medical field, there is not, the pay scale isn't as big as you would hope it would be, I guess. And so I started looking for ways to supplement my income. And I did not really want to go out and get another job. In other words, have to leave one workplace and go to another. So I started looking into ways that I could make money online, and stumbled across the world of digital marketing.
Okay.
So what that is promoting the products of other companies. You partner with them, and then you earn a commission for each time a sale is made. And I can go into that a little bit more later. But so I ended up taking a course and learning how to do this, which led to me starting my own business, which is just getting off the ground. So it's still new for me.
Right.
But what I do is I explain and I teach and I help others how to learn how to do what I'm doing and how to earn some passive income.
Okay. So
So
I
that's
want
what it
people
is.
to know that basically I found you on Instagram,
Right.
and you had a reel that went viral. And so a lot of people, know who you are or reached out to you. And
Mhm.
your story was so relatable. And I say that I really love connecting with people that have been through something in life, that have gone through challenges, that have gone through life's ups and downs, but still are surviving and thriving and not giving up on their life. And so I
Mhm.
want you to talk a little bit about how it came to be that you even made this video and where the idea came from, and just explain to people your story.
Of course. So the video was a surprise to me, first of all, that it even went viral. I was sitting at home, it was a Saturday. I had recorded myself drinking a cup of coffee, and I was looking at this video that I had, and I said, what can I put to this? And I thought, you know what, I kind of would like to just explain my life by the decade. So that's how it came to me. And
Mhm.
so I just sat and thought about what was I doing in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, and now in my 50s. And
Mhm.
I'm 54. I have no problem telling people my age because it's just a number. It means
Oh,
absolutely nothing.
oh,
So anyway, I came up with this idea. And so I just hit bullet points in my 20s, this, and this, 30s, 40s, 50s. And I was shocked by the reaction to that because it started taking off. Now, again, I had no premeditated plan on doing this. It was all came to
right,
me in a matter of like 10 or 15 minutes of thinking, what am I going to do with this video of me drinking coffee, right? That's
right.
all it was. And that's the way I think a lot of things happen that turn out to be big things. It's just like this small little idea that comes to you. And, so I shared my story, and the reactions to it have been from people of all ages, all races, all backgrounds, but it seems to have hit a common thread among all of them, of all these different people, this huge collective of very different people
Mhm.
saying that, oh my goodness, you could be describing my life.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And that's what struck me the most. And then I've had a lot of younger women that maybe are in like their 20s right now, or maybe 30s, and they're thinking, here I
okay,
am bashing myself that I haven't got it all figured out yet. But you're saying that in your 50s, you just now started your own business, and look at all this wisdom that you've gained. You've been through so
right,
much and you're still standing.
right.
And believe me when I tell you, it's been so humbling because when you're just going about living your life, you don't realize,
To-
that you could have such a huge impact on other people.
Totally, totally. I
Yeah.
know I had a woman reach out to me the other day. I on Instagram, I have no idea who she was, and she said she's been praying every day to work with me.
Oh,
And
wow.
that just blew me away because I'm like, we never know what effect we have on people. And I try to tell women, stop hiding. Stop hiding. We are not the
Right.
only, you're not the only one that's been through something. We've all had our own life experiences, and
Exactly.
there are other people that can relate to our life experience that we
Hmm.
can hold up, look out for. They can be an example, and you're that example for a lot of people.
Yeah, and again, thank you for even bringing it up. It's been such a surprise to me, the overwhelming response to it. And so many people have said, because I don't know if you want me to go into the details of
You
of
can
my
tell
story,
some of
but
the details. Yeah, I
okay.
think it's helpful.
So there was a key part in my 40s where I actually suffered through the passing of my soulmate, a man that I will always consider to be my soulmate. He passed away very unexpectedly during my 40s. And so, you're just reading this text in the video, and then it just says, my soulmate, I met my soulmate, he passes away, my grief journey began. And it's just so striking to so many
Right.
people,
Yeah.
because then up comes my 50s, and you can see where I kind of, and believe me, this was a long process. It didn't happen overnight,
Right.
but somewhere within, I was able to draw on some sort of inner strength and come out of that and get back on the path to life. Because for a long time after he passed away, I
Hmm.
was far from living. I
Right.
was, and to be fully transparent, I was praying daily for God to end my life because I was so
Uh, uh,
depressed, and
so
I never considered ending my own life.
right, right,
I
right,
just didn't know how to pick up and go on,
right.
you know?
So I know this is a little off topic, but I think there's so many people that can relate to it. Like,
Mhm.
how did you start to see the light and kind of come out of that depression?
I think couple of things. First and foremost, the first thing I'll always say is I stayed grateful for the love that we experienced. I never, ever, no matter how bad of a day I was having or how sad or how depressed I was, I never lost that feeling of gratitude for having known such love.
Right.
And this man was someone who actually taught me how to live. I
Uh,
always say that because he lived so unapologetically. In other words, he was going to be himself. He was going to give it to you straight. And when
mhm.
you're around that energy, it
Right.
changes something within you, and it gives you permission to show up as your authentic self.
Yes, totally.
And so being grateful for him having come into my life and having experienced that energy and that level of freedom that he lived with, which rubbed off onto me. Those two things were like being thrown over the side of a ship and you get this life preserver and you're holding on for dear life. That's what I was holding on to and slowly clawing my way back. Add to that the fact that I have a massive family, huge
Mm,
family,
okay.
and the prayer energy that was going up on my behalf, I
Mm,
mean, was phenomenal. I'm a huge believer in, and this is not a religious take or anything, but just in sending positive energy and prayer and thought and directing it in a concentrated form toward one person, that has a huge impact on
totally,
the outcome of a
totally.
situation. And
And
so
yeah,
I credit those things. Yeah,
I actually believe it's important even in business to
right.
stay in prayer and that energy. And so how has the lessons you learned from that experience affected your business?
Well, one thing that I do use is the grief that I went through is now a gauge in my life. And so whenever I hit something that's difficult, like
Mhm.
starting a business,
Right,
it's not easy. I don't want to fool anybody into thinking that it is because it's not, but it's worth it.
right.
When I would hit a stumbling block or a point where I felt like, oh, I can't do this, that little voice would say, but look what you've already done.
Mhm.
You used to pray daily for God to end your life because you were so sad, and look at you living. And if you can get through that, you can certainly get through this. And
Right.
so I think sometimes we have to draw on things that we've gone through in the past because we're quick to dismiss things with ourselves, right? Oh, it's
Totally.
only me. Oh, it's just me, and all of that. But all of us have overcome something at some point. And if
Yeah.
you had that strength to get through that, think about that when you hit the next roadblock and remember the strength that you have, and it'll give you that surge to get through this one.
Right. Well, I talk to a lot of women that feel like they're too old to start a business or that they never did it before, which you hear a lot.
Mhm.
What allowed you to just go out there and get started and take that risk?
Well, I think first of all, it was out of necessity because I needed to get my income from where it was, which
Mm,
was flat. When I left the casino world, and I hope I don't go too far off track, but I was in management for 18 years. And so
mhm.
when I left that, and then, I went through the grief and everything, and I had to rejoin the workforce, my whole mantra was no more management. Give me a little cubicle. I want to sit there, tell me what I have to do, and
Right.
I'll do that until I retire, right? And so I went with that mindset for a long time. Well, that mindset was all well and good for a time,
Right.
but you're not going to get to the level of income that maybe you would like to have with that mindset. Okay,
Totally.
so I knew I had to change that, right?
Yeah.
Didn't want to go back into management per se as
Right.
being over people, but I thought, you know what, I can take control of this if I start something on my own. And so that's where the whole thought process came in. And, I'm 54. I have never run a business ever. I have been someone's employee since the age of 16 when I first went to work.
Right.
So I don't have an entrepreneurial background at all, but I do have a brain and I know that I'm capable of learning, right?
Right.
And so I told myself, you know what? This is brand new. It's totally foreign to you, but if you can find the right mentor, teacher, program, course,
Right.
you just follow it along, and that's the beauty of doing things, especially online, is that you can control the pace of it.
Totally.
You can take as long as you need to, or if you pick it up quickly, then run with it. But we have to just remember that we are capable of learning. I don't care what the year you were born or what your age is or anything, or what experience you have, because believe me when I tell you, I don't have a business background at all.
Well,
Um,
one thing I hear from a lot of people is they're not comfortable with technology. They don't know how to use Facebook. They don't know how to use Instagram. They don't know how to do all the things that are required to run a business. What would you say to that?
I would say that it's definitely learnable, if that's a word. The other thing I would say to people of a certain age, like myself and
Right.
and
And
yourself,
me,
Gail,
yeah,
I have a granddaughter who's 12, okay? These kids now, they were practically born with computers in their hands.
right,
She showed me all kinds of things about TikTok that I didn't know.
right,
I have a son that's 24, technology is second nature to him. Pick
totally.
the younger ones' brains, have them help you. They'll help you. I mean, I know not everybody has those resources, but maybe it's not something that people think about. Like I say, my granddaughter, she's a whiz at TikTok. She taught me all kinds of things. So, but just believe in yourself. Don't count yourself out just because just because you haven't done it before doesn't mean you're not capable of learning how.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, can you think of something that you wish you had known that you know now, like when you first got started?
That's a tough question for me. Something I wish I had known. I can think of something. I wish I had known how many opportunities there are out there for us.
Yes.
You have no idea, because I had no idea. When
Yeah.
I first went on to try to find a way of supplementing my income, what I was doing was I went on Indeed.com and I was looking for um, a job online. In other words, being hired as maybe a transcriptionist or a proofreader. So I would still be kind of working for someone else. It's the same formula. You're just doing it from home or wherever you have an internet connection. So that
Right.
was my initial attempt at, making supplementing my income.
Hmm.
But then I stumbled across this whole other world of working for yourself and earning passive income, supplementing your income. And I said, whoa, wait a minute, this is much, much better. Because now, I'm not at someone else's beck and call. I have more control of the situation. And if you just give yourself a little bit of, just a little belief in yourself, you are going to be amazed at what you're capable of doing. Just start and just try. There's no shortage of information out there.
Totally,
It
totally.
really is not.
It does, it makes me sad sometimes to hear people give up on themselves
Yeah.
because I will get on calls with people and they'll say, I've always dreamed of having my own business, but I'm too old. And so said to one woman, I said, well, how old are you? And she said, 55.
Hmm.
And and I'm like, well, am I too old to help you start a business? And she said, no. I said, well, I'm 65. So
Right.
if I'm not too old, why are you too old to start? And I
Hmm.
think that society, after 50, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
society makes it seem like your life is over, that you should just
Hmm.
go sit in a corner somewhere and leave the world to young people.
Yeah.
But
Sit down and knit a scarf or something.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Right.
crazy to me. But I am a real advocate of people. I don't care how old you get. You could be 75, 80, and have a
Hmm.
business because there's so much wisdom that we have. Um,
Exactly.
can you think of like maybe experience that you brought to the table, like life experience?
Life experience.
Like how, yeah, like how has your life experience helped you with your business?
Well, I think you incorporate all of who you are in it, being a mom, the running a household. You can transfer those skills into anything. You do things to run a household that those are valuable skills. You know what
Right.
I mean? You're
That's
trying to juggle your kids' schedules, you're trying to budget the bill money for the month, you're trying to plan meals. Those are transferable skills you don't even know that you have, and they're powerful skills. You know
totally,
what I mean? People say, oh, she's just a housewife, just a housewife. Have you ever tried running a household?
totally. Yes, I
So,
agree.
I think that we sell ourselves short, by saying, well, I can't do this. All I've ever done is raise kids or whatever. That's a massive undertaking.
Really
You're
is.
a counselor, you're a therapist, practically doctors, bandaging knees and counseling when they get their first broken heart and all of that.
Right.
So you have so many
Yes.
skills and so much power within you, that we just have to dig in a little bit. And once you tap into that, you start to realize that, hey, you know what? I'm not just anything. I'm a powerhouse in my own right, you
Right.
know? So I
Totally.
think it's just a matter of getting out of our own way, stop listening to that self-talk, which most of the time was planted in there over years and years and years of hearing someone else project that onto you,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And I think we just have to give ourselves permission, and we have so many transferable skills that we can pour into doing our own thing.
Right. I
Yeah,
posted something last week saying that I believe all women should know how to make money without a job.
right.
What do you,
Totally agree.
what's your take on that?
Absolutely. Because, job security, there was once such a thing, but in my own personal experience, as I said, I worked for 20 years at a casino. And not to bash them, I traded my time for money. They paid me. I was promoted over the years. I was making a decent salary at the time I left, but I did not leave of my own choice. I
Mm,
left because they decided they were going to restructure and they
mm,
were going to outsource the department that I had worked in for 20 years, 20
wow.
years of blood, sweat, and tears that I put into there. And they said, well, you know what, we no longer have a job for you, so here's your severance package. And that was it. And
Mm,
to tell you, I was shocked. I mean, you go to work every day for 20 years, you don't see,
yeah,
you're in a
that's long.
casino, for goodness sake, they're
Right.
making money hand over fist. You're not thinking about that could happen to you.
Right.
And
Totally.
so it happened to me, and I had to make a choice. Now, I was fortunate enough to have been offered a position with the new company that was coming in. And
Hmm.
for a minute, I considered it.
Hmm.
And again, that little voice came into my head and said, really, Diane, you
Hmm.
have this huge opportunity to do something different, and you're going to take the safe road. You're just going to go and work and do more of the same. Now, for a few years prior to that happening, I had been unhappy there,
Mm,
because as time goes on, budgets get cut. Now you have more work with less staff, and I was in management. And so I was like, do you really want to go out of the pan and into the fire?
right.
So I decided that no, I'm going to take your severance package and I'm going to go out and I'm going to reinvent myself. And I landed in the medical field, which was a great choice. Look, in hindsight,
Right.
that was the best. But tying that back to, job security, that was a huge wake up call for me,
Wow.
because it was the same month I got my 20th anniversary pin, and they gave me a
Oh,
catalog to pick up my gift. And that
oh,
same week,
wow.
they told me my job was gone.
Yeah,
So
I get it. Yeah.
I encourage all women, please learn a way to make money without having to have a job, because you do not know when you're going to be so grateful to have that skill.
And the other thing I think of too is a lot of women are married or in relationships and they
Right.
expect that they don't really think about the loss of a loved one. And you've
Yes.
experienced that. And it could be through death, it could be through divorce, but women live longer than men, but yet we
Right.
make less money. And
Hmm.
so that's even more reason too to just have your own pocket money or whatever to
Exactly.
just keep you involved in what's going on and to feel like you're more independent.
Of course. And that word, I am a fiercely independent person.
Mm,
To a fault sometimes. And it's just the way I was raised. My mother was that way, and her sisters are that way. And I come from a long line of very independent women.
mm, mm,
And so, like I said, my soulmate passed away 7 years ago. And almost 4 years later, I did meet and start dating someone else, and was in a relationship with that person. That relationship just recently ended.
mhm.
And so I've been going through some major life changes since starting my business. So it's been a
Right.
lot on my plate. But what happened to me, if you don't mind me touching on this just a
Oh,
little
that's
bit, because
fine.
somebody
Mhm.
may relate to this. When I started this new relationship, this person is very well set financially. he has a great career, he makes a lot of money. And so I found myself getting a little bit complacent for the first time in my adult life with letting someone else be the main breadwinner, right? I was still working, still going to work every day, still carrying my own weight, but got real comfortable with allowing him to be the major source of income in the household. And when that relationship started to break down, I said, number one, I'm not going backwards here. Okay. I got accustomed to living this lifestyle
Right.
and I intend to continue it on. And maybe I don't have a career at my 9 to 5 job making the money that he makes,
Hmm.
but I can find a way to get myself on a better level financially. And so that was another source of inspiration or reason why I sought out a way to make more money on my own,
Right.
because I don't want to lose my independence. I don't want to go backwards and have to live on a ramen noodle budget, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term. You know what I mean?
totally.
You
Yeah,
know,
totally.
and so that was another source of inspiration for me, was that, I'm going to be leaving this relationship, and it was mainly my decision. It wasn't, the relationship had reached a point where there was no growth going on. I've written 2 books about my grief journey, and I had gotten away from promoting those books, and I
Hmm.
really had a yearning to get back into that.
Hmm.
And he wasn't aligned with that vision. He thought, well, that person died many years ago. It's time for you to get over that. And I'm like, well, you don't get over grief, first of all. It's not
Totally.
something you get over. And I did not write 2 books for them to collect dust on a shelf somewhere. My purpose was to help other people. And so now I'm at a point where I really want to get back into that. I want to live out my purpose, in other words. And he
Yes.
wasn't aligned with that. And I am not bashing him. He's a great
Yeah,
person. I wish him well, and I hope that life brings him nothing but good things.
totally.
But we weren't aligned. And so that became another reason for me to go out and seek a way for me to be able to maintain my independence and live in a way that I think I deserve to be living. And I would encourage any woman to go out and do that.
Yes, and kudos to you.
Thank
Like,
you.
I'm so proud of you because so many people live in misery and stay in those situations. And I remember telling a woman one time, a relationship is not a prison sentence.
Exactly.
Just because you committed to it at one time does not mean that you're committed for life. And I
Right.
know that that goes against some of the things that the church says or whatever, but I don't think God wants us to be here miserable, living this life that we were not cut out to live, just to stay
Totally
in
agree.
a relationship that isn't working. And I feel very strongly, I'm divorced, and it was the best thing that could have happened for me. I mean,
Hmm.
I was with him for 24 years. That's a long time to be in a
That's a long
relationship.
time. Yes.
But being out of it and seeing what my worth and my value are and how much I can do on my own, it's
Hmm.
blown my mind. And I'm sure your mind has been blown by the things you've been able to accomplish.
Absolutely. I totally know where you're coming from with that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And there's something, it does something for your soul
Oh my
when
God.
you can say, I did that.
Yeah.
I mean, just figuring out the technological part of doing affiliate marketing, let me
Mhm.
tell you, there was some frustrating, and there still are, trying
Right.
to figure it out. But once you get it, oh my goodness, it does something for you, because now you got it and you get to keep that. And now I'm
Yeah.
going to build on that.
Yes.
So I did, with the affiliate marketing, I did actually pay for someone to mentor me a little bit, because I think
Okay.
that anything you can do, people look at, well, how much money does it cost? How much does it cost?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. The money that you're putting up, you're putting into yourself. I think people get caught up in that, oh, well, I got to pay them for this. Well, yeah, but it's something for you. You're sowing into yourself,
Totally.
so the investment you're making is in you. And I think anything that's going to help me grow, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, because you're going to reap the rewards of that down the line. So
Right. If you invest, first of all, business, the kind of business that you have, it might not be like a big startup cost, like if you bought a
right.
franchise or some, big corporate, like bigger companies. But you still have to invest in yourself because
Exactly.
as someone that's never done that before, the quickest way to get where you want to be is by getting mentored by someone that's been there and can make it quicker and
Right.
speedier and help you progress and just get a greater understanding early on so you don't have that frustration. So, like one of my mentors I heard say, if you pay 20,000 for something, but you make 100,000, where else can you get that kind of return on your investment?
Hey,
You know, if
that's
you,
a good
you
point.
yeah, if you spend, I don't know, 50,000, but you make a million, that's a major like return. And and
Exactly.
and literally having a business online, the earning potential is exponential. There's the only limits are the limits that you put on yourself. And so
Yes.
that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I'm just like all about encouraging women to start businesses. And
Mhm.
and the thing I'm curious with you, so now that you have this business, how do you think that will affect you and your career decisions down the line or even decision to start other businesses?
I'm open, to be honest. I'm open to whatever comes my way. I would love, because there are people doing this affiliate marketing that have completely left their 9 to 5 jobs, and this
Right.
is their full source of income right here. Now, I'm not at that point yet,
Mhm,
but, and I stress yet,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I am not opposed to doing that because life is meant to be enjoyed, and like I say, I have grandchildren, I have 3 of them, and I would like to have the time to be able to travel and do things, with them, while I'm still spry and healthy enough to do these
Right,
things,
right.
and so I think that just starting this and learning that I have the capability of doing something like this that I've never done before, it
Mhm.
just opens the door wide open to so many more things. And I'm just, I'm focused on my own personal growth and development. I started about 3 months ago in my car listening to Bob Proctor constantly.
Oh, love me some Bob
I
Proctor.
do not even the only time I put the radio on in my car is if I have a passenger, because I know I'm not going to be able to. It's not so much about not wanting them to have to listen to him. I don't care what they have to listen to, but I won't be able to tune in like I do
Yes,
if they're
yes,
in the car. So that's the only
right,
time the radio in my car gets put on. I've listened to music my whole life. I've got a lifetime of music in me. I don't
totally,
need the radio right now.
right.
What I do need is to feed my soul, is to grow myself. And I find so much inspiration. And I'll listen to the same one. Right now, I have a long commute. I drive an hour and 15 minutes to and from work. So
Right,
almost 3 hours a day, I'm in my
right.
car. Why do I want to listen to some DJ or a bunch of commercials or the latest music? That's like prime time for me, because all I'm listening to is things that are feeding my soul and helping me grow. And
Yes,
I would encourage anybody, if you don't know who Bob Proctor is, the Proctor
yes, look
Gallagher
him
Institute. I don't work for them. They're not paying me,
up.
but it's just wonderful. It's wonderful to learn and just grow yourself, because you get yourself, you remove so much of the fear that's there about the unknown when you realize the potential that you have within you.
Totally, totally,
Yeah.
totally. I say that even starting a business is personal development on steroids because
Yeah.
you get to learn more about yourself, your
Hmm.
strengths and your weaknesses, then where you need to grow. Um, and it really shines a light on you that when
Yes.
you're just working in a job, you don't really see because you're doing everything the way somebody else is telling you to do. But when you have
Right.
your own business, you're running the show and
Hmm.
you've got to keep things moving. So before we go, what advice would you give to other women that um, think, that they might be curious about running their own business or have just started? What could you say to them?
I would say, if you haven't started yet, first of all, start. Do your homework, get out there and look and see what's out there. There's, so many opportunities for you, but you're not going to get anywhere if you just stay in that thought phase of maybe I should, or I don't know if I can start something. Because if you start it and you realize, well, you know what, this one maybe isn't for me. Well, at least you started that, and you can take the little lessons you learned from that and you can put it into the next thing until you find what is a good fit for you. And if you have started on this path, don't let the frustrating moments get that little voice in your head going that says, see, I told you you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
See, that's why someone, and that's another thing too. If you have to protect your thought of starting your own business from the people around you and keep it solely to yourself,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
totally.
I kept it to myself. And I'm going to tell you a real quick, funny story.
Okay.
I have a best friend. She's my cousin, first cousin. We've been best friends since birth. And she knows everything about me and I know everything about her. I didn't tell her that I was doing affiliate marketing.
Mm.
Not a word. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't tell anyone I joined TikTok. Nobody knew. Every time TikTok would give me the notification, do you want to sync your contacts? No, because I don't want any of
Right,
them to know that
right.
I'm on here. And so anyway, I was getting ready for work one morning and I look and I get a notification and TikTok was telling me that my cousin that I'm referencing here had liked one of my videos. And I went, oh no, she discovered my secret life. So I'm texting her, and as I'm texting her, my phone rings and it's her calling me. She's
Uh-huh.
like, I am so proud of you. She's like, I'm
Oh,
scrolling through TikTok, she says, and I see this video and I'm like, and it was you. And she's like, I'm thinking, oh, she probably joined and she's probably got, a couple of videos. She's like, I go on your page, you've got over 10,000 followers. You've got all these videos where you're pointing at the word stuff I don't even know how to do. She's like, how
right.
long have you been doing this? So anyway, what she went on to tell me was that she had tried a couple of things of making money online, which she discovered were scams. And there are those out there. So be careful.
Yeah.
So she said, Diane, had you told me when you first started doing this that you were planning to try this, I would have told you don't, because they're scams. She
Uh,
said, so thank God you didn't tell me, because the feedback you would have gotten from me would have been, don't do
yes,
it. And you never
yes,
would have reached the point that you're at right now if you had told me. She said, so good for you for
I
keeping it to
love it.
yourself.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
let that serve as a source of inspiration for you, that if you have to protect it and keep it to yourself, keep it to yourself until you're ready, because your own inner circle may be the ones to shoot you down faster than anyone else. And not because they're mean-spirited, but
Right.
because they're afraid, because they won't try it. They're afraid for you. So,
Yes, totally. I've experienced that so much. I quit my job in May, and
mhm.
I almost quit
Good
my
for
job.
you.
Yeah, believe me, it takes a lot of courage to quit your job and go
Mhm.
into the business full time. I'm not wealthy. I don't have like some huge pension or anything. I just
Right.
have
Mhm.
the belief in myself. And I don't suggest that everybody do that. The timing, isn't always perfect, but I think I've had many side businesses and while I was working for someone else. And I think it's a perfect way to start and allow your employer to be your investor. So
Right.
you have that income coming in, you have it, you can pay your bills, but then you can take some money from that and invest in your business until
Mhm.
you get up and going. So, but my back to the other topic though, a few months before I quit, my friends and family, I told them I wanted to quit, and they were just like, "No, don't do that. You have such a
Yeah.
good job." And I was there for 16 years, and they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, you've been there so long, and that's just easy money, and you can depend on it." And I let them talk me out of it. Um,
Yeah.
but then I just knew, like, God was giving me that nudge that it
Mhm.
was time, and to me, it's the best thing that I could have done. I'm just so excited, and that doesn't mean, like you, it doesn't mean anything's perfect, doesn't mean,
Right.
you know, that there is a lot of insecurity, but there's something exciting about it. That's kind of I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like you're so proud of yourself that you're
That's
doing this,
it.
yeah, for
Yeah,
yourself. Um,
that's it.
so tell people where they can find you on TikTok and Instagram and find out about your business, if they want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok, Diane Santos one, and on Instagram, I should have looked it up because I don't even know what my
Well,
username is.
I'll put it in the
Oh,
notes for
good, thank you.
the episode.
Yeah, so I do, I was primarily promoting my work and things on TikTok. And
Okay,
what happened was the video that Gail referenced earlier that went viral, um, a huge group that is huge on Instagram got a hold of my video, and they are the ones who actually shared it on
yes,
Instagram.
that's where I saw it.
Yes, yes. And so once it hit Instagram, it started taking off there too. And so then I was like, oh, what? And I had done a little bit with Instagram, but not a whole lot. And
Mhm.
once I saw that, and I started gaining followers and things, I was like, oh, I better make the crossover, into Instagram. And prior to both of those platforms, I was huge on Facebook. I've always loved Facebook because a lot of family is there, and you
Right.
can connect with relatives and things like that. And but I hadn't promoted any of my things on Facebook because that's where all the people know me.
Mhm.
And I was a little bit leery about what kind of feedback I was going to get. But Facebook just launched what they call Reels, where you can, just like
Yeah,
Instagram Reels, right? You can do
right.
that on Facebook as well, which I stumbled across one day. And I said, I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to throw one of my Reels on there, repurpose it, right, from TikTok or
Right,
Instagram, because that's what I do. I repurpose, and that's a huge thing across social media. You can repurpose your content.
right.
So I threw something on there, and I said, they're going to be wondering, what is she doing? Right. Because I didn't offer any sort of explanation. And I went about a month or so of doing that on
Mhm.
Facebook. So now I have, all three platforms going.
Okay,
Um, and using them all. I mean, it's free. It's organic
totally,
marketing that you can
totally.
do. I know people
Right,
do paid ads and things like that, but utilize what doesn't cost you anything,
totally.
and you can grow from there.
Yes, so
Yeah.
they can look you up on TikTok and get all your
Yes.
information, and I'll put we'll look up your Instagram and put it in the show notes. But I really want to thank you for coming. I'm so glad that I reached out to you. I
Oh,
just
so am I.
like for me, when I see people that I love their story or I feel like we have some things in common, I
Hmm.
just reach out. And that's the other thing. People feel like, oh, I'm getting older. I don't have the friends, or I don't understand. People don't get what I'm doing, or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes you have to reach out to new friends that are
To
doing
new
similar
friends.
things, especially business. You want to be in contact with other people that are running businesses and have that support. So I'm so glad that we connected. I
And I'm
look
so
forward.
grateful to you for inviting me to be on. It's just
Thank
amazing.
you.
I'm grateful for our connection, and I love what you do.
Thank
I'm
you
so
so
in
much.
awe of you having the courage to leave your career the way you did. And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be back doing this in a little while, and I'll be saying, Gail, guess what? I
Oh,
left.
definitely. I can't wait to have you back because I'm sure your story is going to excite a lot of people because it's so relatable. And
Thank
that's
you.
why I really wanted you on. So again, thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon.
Okay, thank you.